Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. And today we are looking at Transformers Age of the Primes Star Optimus Prime, one of the 13 primes, as you can tell, because everything's in gold instead of the normal white for this new range. And this is the Titan class. This is the Titan class release. And it's not only been a Titan class release, it's been a Titanic division in fandom viewpoints, and to the point where I've sort of had it for a few days. It came as part of a big delivery, and I've kind of stayed away from it because I thought, what if I hate it? What if it's the problem that I'm hearing from so many other people and seeing from so many other people? What if it's going to be this absolute nightmare scenario? I thought my last Optimus Prime, part of the HasLab, was going to be problematic with it. Will it be cracked? Won't it be cracked? But it seems like the Age of the Prime Star Optimus Prime is even more problematic. Well, anyway, we'll get to that in a second, because I do have thoughts, I do have views, which is probably just as well. Otherwise, this would be very, very quiet. So let's kick off with the packaging. Now, it's called Star Optimus Prime. It's a iteration of Star Convoy, which is the actual design. I'm not going to go into the sort of history of Star Convoy and all of that shenanigans. There's fantastic people out there who can do that and have done that, and they've been very useful for me as well, because that's where I've got most of my intel. But it's an unusual choice, because it could have been called Battlestar Optimus Prime rather than Star Optimus, because they were battle stars from this part of the mythology, and yeah, Star Optimus Prime just sort of sounds a bit odd. But again, whether or not Optimus Prime was originally one of the 13 is also part of the mythological mysteries of it all. So let's just smile, nod, and accept that Optimus Prime is the Titan class 13th Prime of the 13. And take a look at this fantastic box art. I mean, again, whatever happens inside, the box art is beautiful. We have the base mode here being operated in part by Hot Rod there, who's included in the set as a Micro Master. Do we call them Micro Masters? We're going to call them Micro Masters today. As a Micro Master, we've got the vehicle mode over here. I never owned the original Star Convoy. It's important to note that. But I have seen it. And the vehicle mode in the versions that I've seen, I'll be quite honest, it's awful, in my opinion, because you've got this pokey little cab that it's about this big on top of a trailer that's, you know, massive, and it's supposed to, and it just looks wrong because there's massive gapping in it. It just looks wrong. And from what I understand, this is adjusted here. We can also see at the top of the box. Let's get in a bit closer to good old Prime, who's holding the Zodiac. Again, number of people who, now I don't know about this history, but the number of people who keep calling that something that it isn't is hysterical. And we can see some of the primes. Some I recognise. I think that's Solus Prime. I think that is Alchemist Prime. I think that's Vector Prime. I'm not sure who that is. If you know, tell me down below in the comments who Prime A is. Megatronus, of course, and I think that might be Onyx Prime, but I might be wrong. So that's Prime B. So Prime A and Prime B, let me know in the comments, please, who they are. Otherwise, I think we kind of know who we're dealing with. Along the top, we have, of course, the now quite well known mural of all of the 13 primes. On the side, we've got Optimus reaching for us with his big legs, and on the back, of course, we have all the product shots, which we're not unfamiliar with, and he comes with a lot of stuff. I'm going to do the conversation about, is he a Titan class? I can't not. I'm going to do the conversation about, is he a hollow, pathetic mess of nothingness, or is there more to him than that? And all the rest of those shenanigans once he's out and we've got him up and about. We do know, it's unavoidably known, that he is not a gigantic Titan. So we accept that. We know that. We know that's what we're going to find. He's not a gigantic Titan, but he is still in the Titan class. He's also bigger than Commander classes. So unless there was a sort of intermediary category, I think the size that he is, plus the range of accessories that he comes with, is kind of why we've landed on Titan class. But I do get that he's not as large and perhaps as complex as some of the other Titans that we've had. But then also the price point is slightly lower than those Titans. So there are some swings and some roundabouts at play here. I appreciate, though, that if you are forking out $150, $160 or pounds or whatever, you do want value for money. And so I will be considering whether or not this is value for money. Because it also really, for me, it comes down to what is it you want to pay for. So that's the thought to hold. Right, this is the box. The box is lovely. When I was a kid, I loved every element of boxes. I loved every element of them. I really did. But right now, you couldn't give two monkeys about the box. So let's take a look at the main attraction, Star Optimus Prime. And here we have Star Optimus Prime's legs. Because, yes, he isn't a Titan, but believe you me, he is a hefty bot. There's no two ways about it. He's not as gigantic as a Titan class that we're accustomed to, and if he were, I wouldn't be able to be doing this in this station. I'd have to be taking it somewhere else. So you've probably seen, if you're interested and you've been searching for videos around Star Optimus Prime, you've probably already seen people do reviews and do various transformations and various other things. And that's great, because that's, you know, what people like us do this sort of thing for. But I'm just going to settle for a second. I'm going to, if I can do this, I don't know how I can, because he's quite tall. I'm going to just try and angle upwards as safely as I can. I might have to pull out slightly just so I can get his top part of him in the shot. There we go. So Star Optimus Prime comes with lots of things in baggies. So there's blast effects. You know how excited I get about blast effects. More blast effects. That's nice. I'm going to leave them in the bags for now. He also comes with his shoulder cannons, which are adjustable. He comes with these two earpieces, which are adjustable. And he comes with his photon cannon and this energon bullet, which I've already put in because it's just a small bit of blue plastic, and I don't really have too much else to say about it. He also comes with this little sort of mini truck, which has rear door access. He says probably not being able now to, oh, there we go, rear door access, which in addition can house our little hot rod. So we do get a little hot rod. It's a Micromaster, I think is the official term. I will have a little chat about him later. I am a bit disappointed that we've got these two red bits on his yellow spoiler. I'm sure they are gaps. I don't really know why they're gaps, but it would be great if they could have either been not gaps and or coloured in yellow. That's a bit of a own goal as far as I'm concerned. The rest of it's fantastic. You've got little shiny engine. You've got opaque, shiny metallic paint on the windows all the way around, which is nice. And it looks like Hot Rod. You know, it does everything it has to do. Yes, underneath we can see it's Hot Rod. There's his face. But it's brilliant for what it is. It's a lovely addition. So we get an additional character who can also go a bit like Knight Rider in the back of that truck. We also get a mega blast effect, which is separate and distinct, and doesn't look at all rude. And we have some other bagged stuff, which is this, which is a blaster that he can hold, but really it's supposed to be used as the rotating gun turret thing that sits as part of the city mode. And the last thing in this little baggie, please come out, is the hilt. This is the hilt that we know it comes with, that I think this is supposed to port into, so he has like a super powerful weapon. But again, for those who've not noticed this or seen this before, it also is the matrix. So if you look at it from that angle, you can see that that is the matrix of leadership in disguise as a hilt. Now, I've also already put into the chest compartment, and the chest compartment is another story. You can't see it because he's too tall. This item, which is the Zodiac, I think it's called. Now I'm going to get it wrong. Yeah, the Zodiac. I'm sure it's the Zodiac. Is it? Is it the Zodiac? Please let me know in the comments, because I keep hearing so many people calling it different things, that I'm sure it's the Zodiac. But it's just essentially a translucent marble with a port on the bottom and his Star Optimus insignia on the front. I will pop that in there. There's a port specifically for it. If I lean forward, there we go. And it just sort of sits neatly in there, if you can see that. And then we can keep that cavity all closed up. You may have heard about a design issue. My transparent chest unit there is unfortunately misassembled. It's very small. You wouldn't notice it. I only noticed it because I was looking for it. So I successfully managed to cope with my Omega Prime Optimus not having an issue there, but this one unfortunately does. It is fixable. There are screws on the inside of the chest unit. I'll show you exactly what my issue is here. These pegs aren't quite aligned, which means, if you can see it there, there's actually a gap between the plastic and this bit of plastic. So you can see that gap there where my finger is. So I need to unscrew this and reset it so that these tabs actually sit on the tabs that are there. That said, however, it doesn't actually have any kind of direct impact at all. So if I didn't do it, no one would ever really know, and it wouldn't really matter. But it's just annoying me that it's sitting there not doing it, not being right. So I think I am going to try it. Now, it's very exciting because I don't do things like that. I'm not very good at it, and it's probably going to be a disaster. I'll lose the screws. I'm already projecting all of my horrendous disastrousness. But let's talk about this figure. This figure is very hollow. There's no two ways about it. It's very hollow in the chest. I've just shown you. Now, it's very hollow in the chest, but it's supposed to house that. And in other modes, it can... I'm throwing everything around today. It can also house Hot Rod in his robot mode. So bear that in mind. Yes, it's hollow, but it's actually got a purpose to be hollow, and it does have some detail. I mean, just trying to see if I can get a decent light in there. Bear with me 2 seconds, because it does look very dark when you look at it like that. So let's just see if I can get some light on. There we go. So you can see there is some nice detailing on the interior there. And I think that's quite nicely done. Would it be nice if there was a bit more paint in there just to make it pop a bit? Yeah, it probably would, but there isn't. So it is what it is. So is it hollow? Yes, it is hollow up there, but it's hollow up there for reasons. So you can use that space as part of the base mode. Now, articulation, there's some heavy duty ratchets here. You can hear that. They're all over the shop. You do have articulation in the hands with the fists opening and closing. You've got elbow, you've got biceps, you've got everything you would expect. You've got heavily articulated waist. You've got underneath here, hips, knees. You've got all the swivels you could possibly want. And of course, you've got articulated ankles. So he does come fully decked out in all the articulation you could actually want him to have. So that's a positive. This is neither a positive nor a negative, it's just an observation. When I took him out of the box, my first impression was, this feels and looks a bit like a play school toy, like a play school kind of figure. It doesn't have, it doesn't feel like it has the same quality of plastic and the same quality of build as some of the other Age of the Primes figures have. If you were to tell me this was a sort of Rescue Bots playset, for example, I could believe you. In fact, I would probably understand more. But that said, I've heard people saying that he's really light. He's not really light. Listen to me putting him down. I'm just relaxing it so it goes down. He's not, I mean, he's not as heavy as Triptychon, for example, but he's not light. He's a bit, there is some heft to him. So I don't know where he's quite light is coming from. He's, as I say, he's not as heavy as Triptychon, he's not as heavy as Fort Max, he's not as heavy, is he as heavy as the Ark? I'm not sure. He's similarly heavy. He's similarly heavy. He's probably slightly lighter than another one of the other smaller Titans who I've got here for sake of argument. Tidal Wave. Now you can see straight away that Tidal Wave is, a good few inches taller than Star Optimus Prime. Now, to be honest with you, if they made it Star Optimus Prime as big as Tidal Wave, I think it would be even more of a disaster. I don't think it would have worked. I think it would have been too sprawling and spangly and dingly dangly. I don't think that's an official term. I don't think it would have worked. So Tidal Wave works. Tidal Wave breaks into 3 components. I would say Tidal Wave is slightly heavier, but slightly heavier than Star Optimus Prime. But here you can see how the two of them scale together like that. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep focusing on, obviously, Optimus. We'll take Tidal Wave out. Whee! Gosh, always fun with Tidal Wave, but he's hefty. He's hefty. While we're doing comparisons with Titan class, here's another one. Ooh, who I'm throwing around like there's nobody's business. Complete disaster. Trying to bring him in. So this is a proper Titan class. I've just pulled his wings off unhelpfully. In you go. There we are. That's better. Sorry about that. I had a technical difficulties. Let's just spin you two around so you fit like that. I might pause while I remove him because that was too much. So now we have Star Optimus up against Titan class Omega Supreme. And again, you can see the difference here. And he, much heavier than this one. Much heavier. But equally, a lot going on. Not much hollow space, really, at all. Very dense. More hollow space. But again, the hollow space with our Star Optimus does all have a function. Right, bear with me while I remove Ultra Magnus, while I remove Omega Supreme. Sorry about that. Yeah, had to do that because otherwise there would have been chaos because he's so big. So there's no question this is not a big normal sized Titan. The only issue I would say is he's not priced as such, and the hollowness all serves a purpose. In the same way that you've got Metroplex and Fortress Maximus with hollow legs because they open up and you can use them as part of the city base. Optimus here has hollow legs. They open up. I'm not going to do it now. I've just got, because I think I've got to untab stuff first. But he's got hollow legs. We know he's got hollow legs. But part of the reason he's got hollow legs is for storage. So, for example, his various effects can be stored in one. And this unit gets stored in the other. In robot mode, you can have them stored in there in robot mode. And then when he's in city mode, again, they're open up and they're channels for the vehicles. So I'm conscious it sounds a bit like I'm being a Hasbro apologist. I'm not. I think some of the aesthetic of this, some of the plastic on this, it doesn't feel good. It does feel a little cheaper than what we've paid for. It does feel a little bit like it's aimed at a younger audience than perhaps the rest of the Age of the Primes figures, and certainly the 13 have felt so far. And again, just by way of comparison of the 13 figures we've already had, here he is scaling against Solus Prime, so she can almost sit on his shoulder, bless her. But that's what he's like up against a deluxe class. Here he is with, oops, here he is with Primer. So Primer Prime there. So that shows you what, and they are literally touching, so you're not getting a, you know, his head would fit inside Optimus's helmet. Just for the sake of it, here he is with Vector Prime. Now this is obviously not Age of the Primes Vector Prime, this is Legacy Vector Prime, but the rumour mill suggests they won't be that different, if they'll be at all different. And so the last one we have to have is Leader Class Megatronus. And again, you can see how that works out. I mean, if I put him on the ground next to him, he's out of shot. That's him literally next to his feet. So he comes up to about the middle of his hips. But yeah, so all in all, the guy has a lot of height on his side. He has a lot of articulation on his side. He does have a lot of hollowness, but the hollowness does have a role to play within the bigger modes. He isn't as light as people have suggested he is, in my opinion. I don't think he's that light. But I do understand that he's not as heavy as, for example, Tidal Wave, although that's not that much out, or Omega Supreme, or Triptychon, for example, all of whom are far heavier. The last figure I'll bring in against him is the HasLab Optimus Prime in Super Mode, who I'll stand directly in front of him, as close as I can get, and that's what the difference is like with these two. So you can see, if you've got the HasLab, you can see how that varies. I would actually say this guy is about the same weight. Oops, see, that's why I'm trying not to take them out, because the camera's at such a tilt to try and get Optimus in. I would say that yeah, the HasLab Optimus Prime in Super Mode is similarly weighted to this guy. So you can decide whether or not you think that's a good thing. Let's park Robot Mode Optimus Prime for now. Let's take a look at him in one of his alt modes. So whilst you're pondering on whether or not it's worth you picking him up, I don't mean literally, because as we've established, he's not as heavy as some, but he's not as light as others. You may want to just drop a little like to the chat, to the video rather, and if you could, a totally free subscription to the channel would be fantastic. It really would mean a lot to me, and it really helps boost the algorithm in these dark and uncertain times. But it's entirely your choice. I'm just glad you're here for the ride. So let me get Optimus transformed into his first alternate mode. Let's go. And here we have Optimus Prime in his first alternate mode, which is, well, it is his sort of standard truck mode. But again, this is very, very large. Here we have those two other components, which for the first time you can see in a bit more detail. This one rolls quite nicely. It's got that metallic windshield area. It's got a nice sort of Autobot logo with the chevrons there, and as I showed you a bit earlier, it's got this entry point at the back, which Hot Rod can of course enter and exit. Very nice. It also stores in one of the legs, as I mentioned. It also has another function, but we'll look at that in the fullness of time. Here we have Hot Rod, who can also roll quite neatly. This is him giving you a real sense of scale to what you're looking at, this juggernaut here that is Star Optimus Prime. I've put in some of the weapon systems here. So this one's at the back, which you can articulate there. This one is his normal cannon, and you have these which were the shoulder mounted, and actually still are shoulder mounted, spoilers. Yeah, he also rolls really well. He's got this segment here at the back. I'll just remove Hot Rod for the time being, which is the tread. Now, in the original version, this was motorized, like so many of those old Japanese ones were. And this was where it was driven from, this tread section. And this tread section actually separated and became this version, this Optimus's version of a roller. And this also does separate into a section which you can use as roller, but it has limited value. But we'll have a look at that in a second. This is very solid. Oops, that's come down. Apologies. Shouldn't have done. Now, what we don't have to deal with here is a separate cab, but you can see the cab. And again, the pinned wheels, it's a shame about that silver pin, but it is what it is. There's some lovely detailing on the cab here. You can see the door there. Shades of Rodimus in terms of that overhanging section there. So that's maybe where Hot Rod got his ideas from. I've seen a few people when they've done it, this section doesn't seem to align with this. I don't know if you've seen that in anyone else's videos. Watch out for it if you're watching other people's videos. Because I was getting ready to go, I'm really disappointed that this doesn't line up. And for no apparent reason, mine lines up just fine. So I don't know why I've seen in other people's videos that it doesn't line up. So that's a bit odd. So watch out for that, because maybe I've done something in a twist of fate that is unheard of. I've done something right that other people are getting wrong. Again, you've got the Autobot logo there. It's very neatly done. I mean, yes, it is essentially Optimus Prime having a nap and lying down. There's no mistaking his legs, etc. But it does work, and as I say, it does roll. It's perfectly serviceable. And it's solid and weighty. Now, we do have doors at the back that can open up and can service your small figures. It won't take anything deluxe size, but Micro Mastery type stuff will fit in there. I would suggest that core class figures will probably fit in there. But yeah, overall, this configuration, really, really nice. Far better than I thought. To be honest with you, I was expecting this to be one of the worst elements of this figure, so I don't know how that bodes for the base mode. But I was really ready for this to be, not great, let's say. But I'm surprisingly pleased with how it's turned out. Again, do I think it would have been nice with a bit more paintwork on the red section? 100%. It really is just a block of red. Oh, yes, we get the nice metallic blue sheen of the windscreens, and we do get that lovely surface detailing. But again, just that through line would be nice. I know we go sort of red, silver, blue, which is very Optimus Prime in itself. But it just would have been nice if there was something else here. Maybe it's a toy hack situation. I don't know. But I think we just would have benefited from something. But again, you can see what he looks like, along with his two also other fellow mobile compatriots in this particular iteration. But in terms of scale against other, it's just essentially, nothing's compacted. It's the same length of figure. He's just lying down. He's just lying down with his arms behind his head. But you can see how that works, and that's fantastic. Hot Rod in this mode ball joints you can see, everything you can see really. I was going to transform him now, but I think I'm going to do some photos with this first, and then I'll show you him in robot mode. But it's a really nice companion piece. I do like it when the Titan class and Commander class, but Titan class because he is Titan class, let's remind ourselves, come with something packed in that is an additional figure, like we had with Omega Supreme, where we got the Micromaster or whatever he's called, along with that set. So we've got a Hot Rod here with Star Optimus. But yeah, this actually works for me far better than I anticipated that it would. And believe me, I was really ready for this to be not great. Does it look like an actual truck? Well, of course it doesn't. It looks like some sort of Cybertronian war vehicle. But then that's what it is. It is a Cybertronian war vehicle. This isn't a sort of Earth mode super truck. And as I say, I like the lineage here in terms of this angled section that comes over the cab, because that's very that talks very much to Rodimus Prime's vehicle mode at the point in which that happens, or happened, depending on where this occurs in your headcanon timeline. So this is vehicle mode for Optimus Prime. I'm not going to say it's a step up from the robot mode, because the robot mode is, to all intents and purposes, the most articulated of these two. But this certainly works and isn't the disappointment I was expecting it to be. But of course, we still have one more mode, which could probably let us down, because it's famously the mode in most triple changing type vehicles that would let us down, and that is the base mode. And base mode it is. Now, before you start telling me I've mistransformed it, I'm going to tell you I've mistransformed it. I looked at what the instructions said, and 2 reasons I've mistransformed it. So, first reason, when you attach Hot Rod, who you can see I've transformed here, to this cannon system here, it can actually be rotated using this remote switch, which is, again, homage to the original version of this toy. And here, it can spin all the way around, unimpeded. Now, in the actual instructions, they want you to have this arm up, converted back to a hand, and holding one of the weapons. If you do that, this is what happens. Nothing. Because if you connect it as it tells you to connect it, you can't. So I've left his hand tucked away as a vent, and I've closed him, and I've left his arm like that. Similarly, I've left this arm with this vent in here. I've left this open, and I've used the matrix hilt. I'll zoom in a bit for that so you can see it. I've used the matrix hilt to house the Zodiac there in the middle, just to give it more of a centerpiece. Yes, you can put Hot Rod in there, but for now I'm not doing that. And again, you can see all that molded detail. So that's kind of cool. I like that. Because I'm not using his hands, I've put the cannon over here, so it's guarding these 2 entrance points. There are shades of the Metroplex and Fortress Maximus. I've lowered the 2 sections here, so there's access for vehicles here. There's also bays here and here where you can position figures. Again, these would probably benefit from some Toy Hacks decals. I'm just saying. We also have down here, I'll zoom out a bit more, but I will say this, it does cover a lot of real estate, so it is big. Here is the sort of additional truck thing. The cab comes off and can be attached on the top, and these guns pop out, so you can have an additional set of guns here. And again, this can open to allow for access. It doesn't tab in particularly well, I'll say that. I'm just going to lift this up for a second. Let me close these a bit so that I can lift it up properly for a second. Because you can leave it like this, and I don't completely let's say, hold on, you can, let's just tab that in for a second. You can't leave it like that. I'm not totally anti that. It just looks a bit obviously Optimus Prime. But I just want to do that because I've seen a couple of people who've reviewed this figure, who've said, let me just open those out a bit more so it's a little like an array, that say these bits just sort of sit here. They don't just sit here, but it has identified some issues with the instructions. They're not brilliant. Usually the instructions are very good, and yes, they've all got lovely clear illustrations, so we know exactly what we're doing, except we don't, because this tabs in to these side skirts. There's a tab here and it tabs into them, so it's now nice and solid. You can give it a jiggle, nothing's going to move about on that front. That is not in the instructions, and I've seen people just leaving them flopping about in the front because they have, I mean, I don't know why they didn't figure it out, but it's figure outable, you know, it's not a super challenge. But again, that's a bit of a problem. You're paying for a Titan class figure and you think, oh, this just flops about. No, actually it doesn't. It does tab in and it's really nice and secure. Poor old Hot Rod. Hot Rod took a little bit of time because, again, the instructions were not super clear in terms of how you attach Hot Rod. I think they think they're super clear. They're really not. And I've then felt really stupid at the end of it when I discovered how you do it. And basically, it's the trick is in the toes. I will say Hot Rod's really a nice little figure. So the trick is in the toes. You have to pull these down first of all, and then there is a little, I don't know if you can see it here. It's you'll figure it out once I've told it to you, so I'm not going to start messing with the zoom. But there's a little tab there that sticks out. Essentially, you can see there's these little notches on the end of his toes. You're essentially going to bend his knees, put him either side of them, and then again close his toes in. They will wrap around the notches and then he's held securely. But yeah, it doesn't make your life easy, that I can tell you for nothing. But he's a nice looking figure and he can sit all over the place, so that's really good. I'm very happy with that. And this of course can still be operated manually with him on it or not. Do we like it with the chest up? I don't mind it with the chest up, but I also kind of like it like this, because it just looks more, I think it looks potentially more interesting. I'm going to go a bit sort of not hands-free, but I'm going to go a bit aerial for this because I want you to see the sort of real estate. This is the section that opens out and actually also forms roller, which I promised I'd show you and I haven't forgotten. But you can see how this is quite expansive real estate there, and you've got this section here. So there is quite a bit going on. I'm just going to very quickly, before, because we're nearly at the end, you've seen everything I think that I can show you. Again, this tabs in very, very loosely. I'll just move that. Oh, sorry, Hot Rod. So you've got this. This is the tread section. Essentially, these fold in like this. These fold in like that, and then these fold over here. Very straightforward. But this then is a separate freewheeling unit. Again, used to be the motorized version, but as you can see, it does actually sort of have its own cockpits here. That's looking like that because I've not tabbed that in properly, so don't worry, it's not about to break. But it's got, again, windscreens here, some grills. Again, I'm pretty confident we're going to see Toy Hacks do something with this that will probably elevate it. As I've said before, I'm not big on using Toy Hacks for decals for stuff, but sometimes it really makes a difference. And I have a feeling it's the sort of thing that will make a bit of a difference with a set like this one. And I know that kind of sounds a bit poor if what you're saying, you know, you've got me saying this is a Titan class set. Well, you know, it is a Titan class set. It's a set that comes with a lot of accessories, for better or for worse. And it does have a lot of playability. And I think that is, for me, the key on this. See, look, here's Cerebros from... there's Cerebros from the HasLab Omega Prime. He can fit in there. He can man that gun turret. So there is... I can't pretend there isn't playability because people, including myself, think the plastic quality isn't what it could be. There is a lot of playability here. There is a lot of fun aspects to what we have here. I think some of the initial reaction, including my own, remember when I opened it up, is hampered by the visual. And the visual and the feel is, this feels cheaper. It feels lighter than some of the Titans. Again, I still maintain it's not that much lighter. And there's a lot of hollowness. So it's therefore overpriced. It may be overpriced. I think if it was $20 or $30 or pounds or equivalent cheaper, we wouldn't have heard some of the sort of clapback that we have for this set. But I think if you, I know we can't really take the cost implication out of it, but if you were to take the cost implication out of it, I think what we would see, so I'm just reopening this to put it back on before I depart this video. I think what we would see is a very different kind of reaction to it overall, because again, I do think that this set has quite a bit of playability, and I think it's a shame that because of its how it first appears, I'm just going to try and tag that in gently, how it first appears, we kind of get the impression that, well, this is cheap. It's cheap and nasty, and it isn't. And again, I think you get the opportunity with the base mode to play with it a bit, do something different with it, you know, set it up how you want. I mean, here I am using the Matrix hilt that should have been used with his flame accessory as a sword to mount the Zodiac in the middle of his chest unit, because I think that looks better. I'm keeping his hands out of sight in the base mode because I think that looks better. It's yours to play with and yours to let your imagination run wild with. I think we've had such great Titans in the past that this feels a bit of a letdown. I also think the instructions have not been super clear in some of the aspects of this. Again, if you've watched enough people transforming it, I almost didn't need to look at the instructions once. There was a couple of things I looked at just for confirmation, but I kind of didn't need to. It's very intuitive, and I kind of like that as well. So yes, is it the best Titan we've ever had? It absolutely is not. Can it form a base for the other primes? Well, it might do okay with Micronus, if we're being honest. I mean, we can stand some of them around inside. You know, Vector Prime, we can sit him. We can stand him if he wants, if he would be kind enough to stand up. He can stand there, you know. Solus Prime, we can probably find somewhere for her to start doing her hammering. We can stick her over here maybe. So, you know, we can incorporate the primes into the set, but it isn't really scaled to them. They can use it as a defense base, I suppose, but it's more scaled to your mini sort of headmasters or your micromasters or whatever. So bear that in mind. Do I think it's value for money? I think value for money will come from how much play you get out of it. So if you get a lot of play out of it, then every time you play, it's part of that investment, you know. So if you commit to playing with it and using it for photography and various other bits and pieces, then I think your value for money factor will increase. If you go, this is rubbish, I'm not doing anything with this, I'm going to stand it on a shelf, value for money, no. It's down the drain straight away because you're not getting any extra value out of it because you're not doing anything with it. So immediately, it's a bit of a waste of money. Immediately, because you're doing nothing with it. So a little bit of it is letting your imagination go with it and have some fun with it, and possibly let go of those initial reactions to the plastic quality isn't that, it's very hollow, it's this, it's that. All of those things are true. But in terms of the value for money element, do you get playability? Can you enjoy using it for photos, as I say, to create a set piece? If you're saying yes to that, then the value for money factor is a bit more questionable. Because maybe it's a bit better value than you first thought. It's actually, I'm going to be honest, I was ready to trash this because I'd seen so many negative thoughts about it. And my opening of the box, and I saw it standing there all tied up, and I thought, my God, it's everything everyone's said it is, and worse. And then I started handling it, and moving it about and playing with it, and not going by my gut reaction to what I'd seen informed by other people. I started to go by my own reaction to what I was experiencing, it informed purely by my own reaction. And again, if I had his arms out with his hands out holding the guns and the sword, then I'd have a different point of view, because I'd be like, if that's the only thing I could do with it, I'd be like, that looks ridiculous. It looks, why has he got two hands holding weapons? It's ridiculous. Doesn't look right. But I don't have to do that. I customized the look for my benefit. If you want to see what it looks like normally, look at the box, which I've already showed you at the beginning of the video, or watch somebody else's video, because you can see it. They're all doing it. They're all doing the standard configuration. I'm not, because I don't want the standard configuration, because I don't like it. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't work for me. Gives me issues. So I've changed it. I've changed it into something that is more suitable for me. And as I say, there's a lot of real estate here. Here I am with a Headmaster, a Micromaster, a Voyager and a Deluxe inside the Titan. So, you know, with it, if you go with it, you get more out of it, and you'll get out of it what you put into it, and in terms of creativity and imagination. Am I disappointed? Aspects of me are disappointed in aspects of it. Yes, can't deny it. Would it have benefited from the electronics of the previous versions? I don't think it would. No, I think it's passable. I think it is slightly overpriced. I don't think it's as massively overpriced as some people might believe, but I can understand why once you're on that train, it's hard to get off, and then everything's wrong with it. And not least will be the price. Personally, I can live with the price. I wish it was $20, $30 cheaper, but where I am with it, I'm okay. Is it a HasLab? No. Is it a full-on Titan? Well, it's not what we've become accustomed to with Titans, but it's a cheaper Titan, and it's a different kind of figure. And I could sit here and just trash it, really, but I would be stretching to, because it does have playability. It does have factors that I'm content with. And I don't want to be that person. I want to be positive about this, not least because I did pay full price for it. But if you're hesitant about it, wait for it to be in a sale. I think because of a lot of the advanced press on this, it won't shift as quickly as some things will. And I think you will be able to pick it up at a discount. So that discounted price that you might be hoping for, or think that it is actually worth, I think you'll get. I think you'll get that in time. And hopefully once you do, you'll be able to invest some time in just exploring it and playing with it more than perhaps just going, oh, look at it, they're all right. It is rubbish. It is cheap plastic. Some of those criticisms of, as I say, perfectly valid. It's what you do with what you've got in the end. And I'm determined to have fun with mine. So that's what I'm going to go and do now. Thank you for spending the last probably about half an hour with me, because there's a lot to see here. You've been fantastic. Thank you very much. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. Again, are you disappointed with it? Have you got it? I mean, don't be disappointed with it if you don't have it, because you don't have it. So are you disappointed because you have it, and what's let you down? Have you discovered other ways of presenting it so that it's even better than what I'm doing with it now? Because I'd love to know, because I'd love to go for the best possible options with it. Whatever, thank you so much for staying with me for the last wee while. I've been the Triple TC, that's the Time Travelling Toy Collector. You have been a phenomenal audience, and this has been, for better or worse, the Titan class Age of the Primes Star Optimus Prime, one of the 13 from Hasbro and Takara Tomy. And it just remains for me to say, believe it or not, that things of beauty really are toys forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.